we are producing approximately 4,054 liters, which is equivalent to about 23.4 liters per cow on average. We are using about 40 to 50 additional feeding stalls on the farm. Without these, we would have to sell around 50 more cows.
A dry matter base composed of corn silage with 7 or 8% protein.
The investment in these housing systems aims to enhance the grazing system.
We have basically 200 to 280 pigs.
Welcome everyone to our channel. I'm here with Duban at Bataan Agro, and we're making a video showcasing the barn structure and everything being done differently compared to other systems in Colombia, as well as how milk production and profits from milk and pigs are being achieved. He explained everything to us. I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you very much.
It is a family-owned business. I am, so to speak, the second generation. My father is the company's founder. This company originates as a subsidiary of another family business, which you will see later, called Fintersaz. The founder of that company was my grandfather. We are dairy farmers and pig producers. We grow corn to produce silage. We cultivate corn on a farm located in Caucasia, a hot climate area in Bajo Cauca. On this farm, we have 251 cows, with approximately 54 in lactation. In this area, we have around 170 cows, more or less. Here, we have 32 hectares designated for production. Of these, 32 hectares are allocated for grazing. We are producing about 4,054 liters, with an approximate average of 23.4 liters per cow. In this area, the farm's total production is approximately 44,000 liters per hectare per year. This is due to the fact that we went through a very difficult period between 2021 and 2022, when we faced a very harsh winter and ran out of pasture in some areas of the farm. Initially, we built this barn without a feed lane, without additional structures, only in this area here, which can be seen as an extension. We did this basically to accommodate the cows that became lame because, during the winter, many of them had locomotion problems. Additionally, we were supplementing the cows with corn silage in the paddocks. However, the paddocks started to deteriorate, and we were losing a lot of silage. Then, we began to provide the silage directly on the ground. But even so, there were many losses. Later, we built the feed lane. And this year, we concreted that area and expanded the barn to provide more comfort for the cows. With the introduction of supplementation for the cows, we noticed that we were experiencing a protein deficiency. However, we needed to provide a special diet for these cows, which was unfeasible in the milking parlor due to the management system we use. We discussed it with our partners at Animal Feed, Sebastian, and May, and developed a special formulation for these cows. We also use organic fertilization in the paddocks, since we are pig producers. In that area, we have 500 sows, and in this area, we have 900 pigs. This helps us be a bit more efficient in soil use and reduce costs. Here in this barn, we are milking about 40 to 50 more cows on the farm. If we hadn't done this, we would have had to sell about 50 cows. We had an issue with the heifers because we couldn't get them pregnant quickly. For this reason, in the afternoon, we keep these cows in a semi-confined system. In the afternoon, the cows from the group, which are the first lactation cows, come into the barn and are also supplemented at the feed lane with the fresh cow diet we receive from Sebastian and May at Animal Feed. What did we achieve? We managed to get the heifers pregnant more quickly, increase their peak production, and maintain that peak on the lactation curve. The bedding is mixed every day. Here, we have a rotary tiller, and the workers perform spraying. Once they finish spraying, they pass the rotary tiller. They mix the bedding every day once a day, because they are not constantly present here. The heifers that stay here in the afternoon only feed in this area, and once they finish, they go out to the paddock. During extreme periods, such as April-May, when we experienced a remnant of summer caused by the El Niño phenomenon this year, we had to keep both groups in this area. We had to leave one group here in the morning from sunrise, and in the afternoon we kept the other group. Both were managed in a semi-confined system because forage availability in the pasture dropped significantly.
And what is used in the bedding?
We've already used everything here, wood shavings, wood chips, and now we're using rice hulls, because it has been a bit challenging to source wood chips at the moment. They are being used to fuel boilers at sawmills. What did using the barn or supplementing the cows in the barn involve? This resulted in an increase in production per hectare per year approximately from 10,000 to 12,000 liters per hectare per year, as we previously had lower volumes. Our plan is to bring some heifers here. Approximately 40 additional heifers will be brought to the farm. However, we don't have the capacity in other areas of the farm to build another barn and slightly increase the herd size. At the moment, we have 69 cows in the barn, but we have had up to 79 cows before. As I mentioned earlier, we expanded the barn to increase capacity. We achieved this by enlarging the available space. Earlier this morning, the cows were milked at around 4 a.m. Then, they entered the barn and received an initial dose of silage, along with the fresh cow diet. Now, at dinner time, we've just provided another portion of the diet. Later, they will go out again for milking at 2 p.m. and then head out to graze. That's why I believe they're doing well in terms of space and comfort, as they don't stay here 100% of the time. If they were to remain here 100% of the time, we would need to expand the barn a bit more.
Well, the foundation of the diet and the nutritional balancing carried out here at Betanagro started with kikuyu grass, which was being replaced in the feed lane. Kikuyu grass had 25% protein and was compared to a dry matter base composed of corn silage with 7 to 8% protein. We started from several principles discussed during the course with Mike Hutchins, focusing on recommendations for fresh cows. In fact, that is the name of the feed currently used at Betanagro, where we follow many of these recommendations. First, ensuring higher dry matter intake for animals in the first third of lactation and for first lactation heifers. Second, improving the balance in terms of metabolizable protein, lysine and methionine. As a result, these animals are supplemented in a differentiated manner. We also included the use of additional additives for these fresh cows, which offer higher returns, such as choline and complete organic minerals, throughout the diet balancing process. With this, as Dubin mentioned, we were able to achieve better lactation peaks, uterine involutions within the desired period, and longer lactations. The overall average milk production increased by about 2,000 to 3,000 liters since the system was implemented. This is part of the effort to increase the farm's stocking capacity while ensuring better dietary balance. Thanks to this, we have achieved production stability, and we are currently planning to expand the barns to continue enhancing the genetics we already have. With solid dietary foundations, we are challenging the animals to produce more.
Previously, we didn't have a grain cracker, so we ended up losing a lot of corn. Recently, we acquired a cracker, and now we are using it to process the grains more effectively. As a result, we no longer see as many corn kernels in the cow's manure, which is something we aim to avoid. Our goal is to minimize waste and make the most of the corn, reaching 100% utilization or as close to it as possible. The farm is located in Bajo Cauca, where we grow the corn. There, the silage is prepared in piles, but since we are far away, transportation takes 5 to 6 hours by truck. What do we do there? We pack the silage in plastic bags, load it onto the trucks, and unload it here. This was a practical solution we found to supplement the cows while making the staff's work easier. Since this area doesn't have many flat zones, it is very difficult to build a bunker silo or multiple bunkers for storage. Thus, we have the option of bringing bulk corn in dump trucks and compacting it here. However, due to the farm's topography, this becomes quite challenging.
The investment in these housing systems is designed to enhance the grazing system. We already have fixed costs related to administration, leases, and the time dedicated by the manager and the owner to caring for the herd. By building this infrastructure in the barns, which costs approximately $20 per square meter, including the roofing and the feed lane, we can increase production by 10,000 to 12,000 liters per hectare. On this farm, which has approximately 30 hectares, this represents an additional 400,000 liters per year, while maintaining the same fixed costs and the same level of supervision and administration. These structures become highly strategic for supplementing the cows, especially during periods of forage shortages, whether caused by a harsh winter, an intense summer, or even when the goal is to boost specific groups. Moreover, it is possible to individualize feeding based on thirds of lactation, nutritional phases, or for first lactation cows. These constructions are extremely strategic, allowing costs to be spread out while maximizing the farm's productivity.
The initial reason for building the barn was basically to recover lame cows in a dry area. What is the benefit of keeping them here? Essentially, they remain in a dry location, which prevents a significant drop in production. Although production decreases slightly due to lameness, we are able to recover them more quickly. Additionally, during periods of high calving pressure and very rainy weather, we also use this area for prepartum cows or newborn heifers, especially during the winter. The diet remains the same. We feed these cows in the same way, but offer more silage since they remain here permanently. We provide 50 kilograms of silage per cow, along with the same 3 kilograms of fresh cow concentrate. We also mix the bedding, but not every day.
How many kilograms does it weigh?
50 kilograms. It comes in 50 kilogram packages. It's not loose material, they grow it, compact it here, and it must be well pressed, without air, to maintain the same preservation conditions as in the silage pile. Then, it is supplied in a way that the operator can handle it in 50 kilogram bales, making the work much easier.
A key point in these barns is ensuring sufficient water availability, starting with adequate drinker capacity, and secondly, ensuring quick refilling of those drinkers. It is important to guarantee enough space for both drinkers and feed troughs. Here, we maintain at least 1 meter of feed trough space per cow. For the bedding, we use rice hulls as a source of carbon. This is done after the bedding is already in operation. We never start the compost barn bedding with rice hulls. We begin with sawdust or wood chips. Only later do we add rice hulls to reduce moisture and simultaneously provide carbon for composting. We have been constantly seeking learning and updates, applying new concepts in nutrition, especially for heifers, transition cows, and across all lactation cycles. These updates combine theory and practice, including exercises and assessments. We strongly recommend these practices and concepts to our network of nutritionists and friends, because we believe they offer clear and updated alternatives for continuous education, allowing us to remain constantly updated and equipped with practical knowledge for our system.
Due to the uneven terrain here in the paddock, we used recycled wood sourced from leftovers to level the bedding slightly. As you can see, there is a slope and a height difference. Previously, these pathways were made of concrete or with stones and granite, but this caused problems with cows becoming lame. Then, the idea arose to build plastic-covered pathways to prevent water from soaking them. However, recently, maintenance costs have increased significantly. For this reason, we are planning to go back to building concrete pathways. In the new barn, we already use concrete. The idea is to transition back to this material because it has lower costs. Additionally, if there is heavy rainfall or a harsh winter, concrete requires less maintenance. For example, with plastic pathways, after a strong storm, holes can appear, and the maintenance cost is higher, requiring more labor. To address lameness in cows, we trained a worker in hoof trimming. He constantly checks the cow's hooves, preventing problems before they worsen. If necessary, he performs hoof trimming and applies hoof support. At drying off, we also inspect the hooves and carry out hoof care procedures. Thanks to fertilization with pig manure, we apply approximately 700 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare per year. Of this total, about 250 kilograms come from pig manure fertilizer, and the remainder is supplied through chemical fertilization.
We are starting from the principle that this is a grazing system, where cows need to go out to search for feed. We have extreme cases of farms where the distance between the farthest paddock and the milking parlor reaches 1,500 to 1,800 meters. For this reason, we use concrete or plastic pathways to guide the cows. For longer distances, we use plastic pathways because they sit on the ground, and the coefficient of friction between the hoof and the soil is lower. This significantly reduces cases of lameness. From a nutritional perspective, all cows receive biotin, as recommended by experts Mike Hutchins and Bill Weiss. The use of biotin, along with organic zinc and other minerals, supports and improves these results. In addition, we adjust the energy balance. Each cow that walks 1 kilometer expends energy equivalent to the production of approximately 700 milliliters of milk. This expenditure needs to be compensated in the diet to meet the additional demand caused by traveling to low-cost feeding areas. It is important to highlight that, although we are in a cold zone, at 2,500 to 2,600 meters above sea level, with an average temperature of 17 degrees Celsius, there are times of the year when solar radiation is very intense. For this reason, we use shade nets to reduce radiation and provide greater comfort for the animals. The main objective is to ensure that the cows arriving here are well fed, can move comfortably, and, most importantly, have the opportunity to lie down and ruminate, thus maximizing the nutritional utilization of the feed provided to them.
Here in Antioquia, pork production basically started with the goal of fertilizing pastures. I remember that my grandparents and my father, for example, would see a hillside, level the land, and plan to set up a pig farm to fertilize the pastures by gravity. Nowadays, pig farming has become a larger, more profitable business and continues to grow. Here we have a farm with about 280 pigs, and we use this activity to fertilize the area. The pigs are marketed in Medellin in local butcher shops. We receive them at an approximate weight of 30 kilograms and send them for slaughter at a weight between 130 and 135 kilograms. This process slightly increases profitability per unit of area used, in addition to contributing to soil fertilization. It's an example of circular economy, similar to what we discuss nowadays. Basically, it's a nitrogen contribution. I don't remember the exact figure, but regulatory bodies such as Cora Antioquia establish a limit for nitrogen input. We still have considerable capacity to expand in this area and continue contributing nitrogen through pig farming. In terms of profitability, I believe about 70% comes from pig farming and 20% from milk production. Roughly, the proportion could be something like 70 to 60% pigs and 40 to 30% milk. Both milk and pig production generate cash flow. We already have a schedule for monthly calvings, and at this moment, we are marketing approximately 650 pigs per month. Starting in July of next year, we expect to increase to around 1,200 pigs per month due to an expansion we made in the farrowing area of the pig production system. Therefore, there is a consistent monthly cash flow in both businesses. Additionally, pig farming requires less labor and less space for management. With an automated system, we can handle more animals efficiently. We have feeders, although they are not yet automated in the area where the animals will be transferred. We are finalizing the automation of the entire production area, which helps reduce labor costs and simplifies management. This allows us to focus work on specific areas, such as monitoring farrowings and improving other production parameters.
Well, we are working with an open field rearing system, also known as a stake and bucket system. Here, the heifers are raised outdoors since they will live this way throughout their lives. For this reason, we aim to start early with a process of acclimatization and adaptation to the external environment. They are fed pasteurized milk through a pasteurization system installed on the farm. Currently, they receive 2 feedings per day, 3 liters in the morning and 3 liters in the afternoon. We are organizing the logistics to transition to 3 feedings per day and increase the amount of milk provided, with the goal of achieving earlier weaning. The heifers remain in this system for about 2.5 to 3 months. When they can consume 2 kilograms of concentrate per heifer per day, a gradual weaning process begins. During weaning, they remain in the stake and bucket system to prevent competition problems. Additionally, they continue to have contact with the caretaker, who acts as a maternal figure for approximately 3 months. After weaning, the heifers are grouped into even batches with a maximum of 14 animals. They have free access to water and concentrate, which is encouraged from the first weeks of life. As you can see, the clean area moves forward with the group, while the back area is disinfected so the heifers can return. The system is equipped with covers to prevent contamination from water or birds. Similarly, water is kept clean and always available from the time the heifers are born.
It is important to understand that dairy farming is a system where nutrition is a fundamental pillar. We need to grasp this very well. At the courses offered by Santa Fe Agro Instituto, everything is explained in detail. The courses cover feeding strategies and present the most recent updates, such as those offered in Hutjen's courses. They clearly explain the different feeding phases. The animal feed group helps us implement these practices on the farms. Feeding a freshly calved cow is not the same as feeding a cow at the end of gestation. The courses also emphasize the importance of nutrition during the transition period and the use of anionic concentrates and anionic salts. These tools are essential for making dairy production more profitable and efficient.